What's up, Buff fans, and welcome back to the Sko Buff Sports Live Show. I'm Kieran Walker with Xavier McNevitz. Xavier, what do we have in store for the folks today?
We got a lot in store with the NFL draft, some club baseball, and some club lacrosse. Should be a good show for them today.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some breaking news for you all at the end, depending on how the second round of the draft goes. But with that said, let's get right into it. Travis Hunter is officially a Jacksonville Jaguar after going second overall on Thursday. Hunter became the highest drafted corner in NFL history, tied for the highest drafted Colorado player in history, and the first wide out to go since Calvin Johnson. The biggest question is, will the two-way star play both ways in the NFL? And head coach Liam Cohen said that Hunter will indeed. We can expect to see Hunter play on wideout and corner in the National Football League. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders went 32 picks last night without hearing his name called. As the second round begins in just minutes, let's take you now to Folsom Feud and Buff Banner to figure out why Shedeur Sanders is still on the board.
Have traded the 25th pick to the New York Giants. With the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Jackson Dart, quarterback, Mississippi.
So it is the Ole Miss quarterback, Jackson Dart. He is a first-round selection.
That was footage of the New York Giants selecting Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart with the number 25 overall selection in the 2025 NFL Draft. That seemed to be the last chance for Colorado star quarterback Shedeur Sanders to go in the first round of the draft, but as we all know, he did not go on the first day of the draft. My name is Oliver Hayes alongside Leo Rivera, and we figured out a name for this segment, Folsom Feud. That's what we're going to call it, and we're going to spit our opinions about Shedeur's falling in the first day of the draft. Leo, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to touch a little bit more on what happens with Shedeur here on day 2 or maybe potentially moving forward. But first and foremost, the New York Giants have just made a detrimental mistake for their franchise by deciding not to select quarterback Shedeur Sanders. I think when they traded up, a lot of Colorado fans thought that this could be potentially the spot, the place that he goes. We saw the shoes. We alluded to it on the show we had last Friday, Oliver. And to go up and select a quarterback in Jackson Dart, who was not even a Heisman finalist, never considered a top quarterback, wasn't even that consensus for the number 1 overall pick, it's going to set them back in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you, which was kind of rare on this show. I know we've only done 2 segments so far, but I'm going to agree with you on that because Shedeur in Colorado ran a decent pro style under Pat Shurmur the past 2 seasons, and Shedeur, he threw the ball quite a bit, had a decent amount of chances, and had a better completion percentage than Jackson Dart did. And sure, Dart had a few less interceptions, but Shedeur had more touchdowns, and I think Shedeur could have been the pick for the Giants. Of course, people could talk about fit because Dart does have a better arm, but yeah, I do agree with you there. But looking to the second day, do you think that Shedeur will go in this second round, or do you think he may go further? I know you picked the Browns to pick him in the top 3, but that seemed kind of outlandish in my opinion. But that's me.
Of course, I am going to continue to ride with this Browns pick, though. Again, I said it last week, Shedeur and the Browns need each other. He is the best fit for that Browns organization. He could right the ship, and there is still a chance for them to make the right decision, right their wrong from yesterday, and go and get the best quarterback in this draft, in my opinion.
Well, I'm going to look at this camera right here and say that Shedeur Sanders is not going to be a Cleveland Brown. There's no way that a Sanders is going to end up in Cleveland. That is just crazy. We heard what Joakim Noah said when he was on the Chicago Bulls talking about Cleveland. No one wants to be in Cleveland. I personally think that Shedeur is going to fall to New Orleans because that seems like the best place for him. I talked about it on day 1, thinking that he would go in the first round to the New Orleans Saints. That seemed like the best fan base for him. But when you look at some of the other places where he could have, you look at Cleveland, you could think maybe even falls to the 3rd round, to the 3rd pick, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But who wants to be in Pittsburgh? That's disgusting. I would much rather see him in New Orleans with the flavor, where the fan base loves him, where they could get things going. I know that they have a whole quarterback debacle going on, but that's where I think he goes, number 40th overall.
You know what? New Orleans had the chance. They had the pick at 9. It all made sense to get Shedeur there. They didn't. I don't know if they really like him. I'm going to be honest with you, Oliver. We didn't see too much of their presence, and other than some comments and, connections from Shedeur himself with New Orleans, I really just don't see too much traction in him really going there. Again, it seems nice on paper, but in reality, the best fit is the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to stand on that no matter what, and we're going to see what happens, whether it's day 2 or 3. Do you see him going today?
I mean, I definitely think so. I'm locked in on that number 40th pick because we saw how Shedeur celebrated or not celebrated, but made light of not going in the first round, and that was by rapping and being on stage and partying. And I just don't think that the lack of flair in Cleveland or Pittsburgh, and specifically with those two organizations, I know Pittsburgh has the historic success, but that doesn't seem Shedeur's style. I think that he wants to go to New Orleans with the flavor that I mentioned in the Bayou and tear things up, because we know the great music, the great food, the great culture that's down there, and I think that fan base that I keep mentioning is really going to love him. That's where he'll want to be. And I think that really is going to elevate his game, and I think that he can really bring a pro style and bring New Orleans back after, kind of getting screwed out of some chances over this past decade, especially if you ask our own Harrison Simeon.
And, yesterday one thing that was interesting with Travis Hunter is going to a dark horse team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, that decided to trade up and grab him. Do you see any potential dark horse candidates or places where Shedeur might fall that we are not even talking about right now?
I wonder if a place like the New York Jets, I know they have Justin Fields, but Justin Fields, he has his gripes. He hasn't necessarily shown too much. He has his flashes, but maybe they go and pick up Shedeur and see what that quarterback battle looks like if Fields doesn't pan out. How many chances does a guy like Fields have left? New York kind of stands out in my mind, but I'm sure there's a few others. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to go ahead and, kind of throw out a wild card here, and wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Miami Dolphins, if we see Shedeur fall to a day 3, if they got a pick and he's available with the questions of Tua Tagovailoa and his injury history, could we see them take a swing and a miss on Shedeur Sanders potentially? We're going to have to see.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to find out. I know that they were potentially projected to pick him, I think it was the number 15 pick in the first round, but I may be mistaken on that. Either way, I think that was a good first Folsom feud, or second Folsom feud, depending on how you count it. But my name is Oliver Hayes alongside Leo Rivera, and we'll see whether or not Shedeur Sanders is taken in the second round, or he falls to third, or potentially further. We'll send it back to you guys, or to Harrison Simeon for Buff Banner.
This year's NFL Draft has its fair share of compelling storylines, but none bigger than the seismic slide of Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders out of the first round. For the wait for the Buffs QB, who had his number retired just 6 days ago, finally ends today, or so we think. Love him or loathe him, the timing is anything but perfect. After months of projections had him as a lock for the top 10, Sanders saw his stock sink further and further through a narrative surrounding his lack of standout athleticism, sack-taking tendencies, and most notoriously, his personality. But just how unprecedented was his fall from grace, and how did it happen? I'm Harrison Simeon. Let's Buff Banter. Sanders dropping in the draft, at least when looking at recent history, makes little sense. Quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, who had similar concerns about size, athleticism, and character, easily went number 1 overall in a 2018 draft class loaded with talented signal callers. Players without cannons for arms, like Tua Tagovailoa or Mac Jones, went 5th and 15th respectively in 2021. Even if you went the route of, there's nothing special about Shedeur, look no further than the team favored to land him last night, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who took Kenny Pickett 20th overall in 2022. In hindsight, all of these players have not yet lived up to their lofty draft selections. Yet, has every franchise suddenly learned their lessons? College quarterbacks are never perfect, but neither are their evaluations. And it seemed like during this process, someone like number 1 overall pick Cam Ward's flaws were brushed over by media talking heads in favor of more clicks and buzz by dissecting Shedeur's profile like a game of Operation any chance they got. And while no TV analysts sit in NFL war rooms, it doesn't mean rhetoric doesn't rub off, or that GMs wouldn't account for intangible factors like the media circus that's followed Shedeur and the Sanders family around for half a decade. Additionally, Shedeur's selective participation in the pre-draft process could have rubbed some front offices the wrong way. Though it's common practice for top NFL draft prospects to shield their stock and health by skipping events such as the Combine, Conference Pro Days, and the Senior Bowl, that's usually due to it being redundant. Ward, for instance, had years of mind-boggling throws on tape and a towering frame that spoke for itself. And while Sanders has years of excellent game film, his dimensions and pedestrian arm talent warranted a second look in the eyes of NFL scouts. When that didn't happen, other than some drills with wideouts he already had chemistry with at Colorado's Pro Day, it could have given organizations the impression that Sanders was admitting to his limits. This process ultimately led to Shedeur going from a top pick thought of as one of the nation's brightest quarterbacks who conquered the shadows of his father coach and porous offensive line play to out of the first round entirely, wrought with anonymous quotes from coaches calling him arrogant, entitled, and a bad teammate. While that's no sabotage, as some may lead you to believe, it doesn't mean it's right. Teams like Pittsburgh made a mistake passing on Sanders, instead holding out hope that aging, injury-diminished veterans like Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins can remedy its stagnant trajectory. The New York Giants had everyone fooled when they traded back into the first round to select a wild-card quarterback in Jackson Dart rather than Sanders, who they spent more time with than their own children at times. So, what really changed for Shedeur Sanders? The answer is complicated, and years from now could be proven to be the right call. But for Colorado's highest ever QB draftee to live up to his legendary catchphrase, this adversity must be treated like what he often struggled with when faced with a collapsing pocket, thrown away, but remembered for down the road. Live to see another Shedeur. Boulder will be watching. I'm Harrison Simeon. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Browns just picked number 33 overall and pass on Shedeur Sanders again. We'll see if Shedeur Sanders is still on the board here soon. But while Shedeur Sanders is still on the board, there are still some notable buffs waiting to have their name called this weekend. Jimmy Horn Jr. is projected to be selected in the 6th round, with Will Shepard and LeJontay Wester also hoping to get their opportunity. They could also end up as undrafted free agents, along with players like BJ Green and Shedeur Sanders.
Deion Sanders' current Buffaloes have seen a bit of a shakeup as the spring transfer portal window wraps up. After the spring game, offensive lineman Jay Gardenhire and Zach Owens have entered the portal, while defenders Ben Boozy and Kieran Garcia and Malachi Murphy did the same. The Buffs added some reinforcements in the secondary as former Illinois State cornerback Tion Parks and former Auburn safety Terrence Love will don the black and gold. Coach Deion Sanders has a laundry list of positions in need, stating that CU still requires help everywhere except for special teams.
At the spring game last Saturday, Colorado announced it will honor legendary head coach Bill McCartney with a statue. Coach Mack, who passed away in January, led the Buffs to its only national title in 1990, remains the winningest head coach in program history with 93 total wins. The statue will stand along the Buff Walk outside of Folsom Field and joins a bust of namesake Fred Folsom.
Now we have Matt Spivak covering Shedeur and Travis' jersey retirements at the 2025 spring game. Take it away, Matt.
Before the 2025 spring game, only 4 Buffaloes had their jerseys retired. Now, that number jumps to 6 with the additions of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. The decision has been a major talking point in the college football world.
Man, not a good look.
That's right.
With Shedeur from the outside looking in, it's way too easy to say, like, would this happen if he had a different name on his back?
It's really exciting because, of course, like Travis won the Heisman. And I definitely think Shedeur is about the best quarterback Colorado's had, at least in a long time.
Two of the greatest buffs to ever come on through. Obviously, Travis being our second Heisman winner ever, and Shedeur being the best QB in recent program history and one of the best to ever do it. So, well-deserved for both of them, and we're happy to be out here.
CU students are ecstatic about Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders' jersey retirement, but older fans and alumni aren't so sure.
Sanders, I think the record and the lack of conference titles makes that a little bit tougher in my book.
So Shedeur Sanders now, until Travis Hunter gets inducted, the 5th number to be retired.
Prior to the late Rashaan Salam's jersey retirement, Colorado had not hung a jersey since 1970. Now, with 3 jerseys going up in the past 8 years, things might be changing here in Boulder. Back to you guys at the desk.
In honor of the NFL draft, we thought we'd stick to that theme for this week's trivia question. The question is, what former Buff has Travis Hunter tied as the highest draft pick from CU? Stay tuned as we'll have the answer coming up later in the show.
CU alum Derek White had a 30-point game in the NBA playoffs last Sunday night. White sunk 7 3-pointers and went 10 for 18 from the field. This marks the alum's third ever 30-point postseason performance. He was the leading scorer in the Boston Celtics' 103-86 victory.
The women's lacrosse team hosted their senior day on Sunday as they took on the Aggies of UC Davis. It was another electrifying game for the Black and Gold, who put up 12 goals in the first half alone. The Aggies tried to bounce back in the second half, putting up 3 goals in the third quarter. Madeline Bassani, Maddie Shoup, and Tegan Ryan all recorded hat tricks for the Buffs, but on the Aggies side, Alex Agnew pulled through with 3 goals in the second half. Their late comeback by the Aggies proved ineffective as the Buffs walked off Kittredge Field with a 15-9 victory.
The Buffs now head to Cincinnati for their final regular season game to face the Bearcats. Cincinnati holds an 8-8 record on the season and 1-3 record in conference play. Similar to the Buffs, the Cats are coming off a tough loss to number 4 ranked Florida Gators. Tune in to ESPN Plus at 10 a.m. to watch the Buffs play in their final Big 12 showdown of the regular season.
Colorado will host the inaugural Big 12 Women's Lacrosse Tournament at Prentup Field next week. The top 4 teams in the regular season standings will qualify for the tournament. The Florida Gators remain undefeated in conference play and hold the number 1 seed, but Colorado is not far behind, tied with Arizona State 3-1. The real battle this weekend is this weekend as UC Davis and Cincinnati are 1-3 each in conference play. With Colorado traveling to Cincy this weekend, time will tell whether the Bearcats make the tournament. San Diego State, having not won a single conference game this season, will likely not make a tournament appearance. The semifinals will be played on Thursday at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. with the championship game on Saturday at 1. Make sure to head down to Prentup Field or tune into ESPN Plus to witness the first ever Big 12 lacrosse tournament.
The throws and multi-event athletes of the Colorado track and field team will travel to Fort Collins to compete in the Border Duel. The Border Duel is just between CSU and Wyoming, so our athletes will not count towards toward the meet scoring. However, it is important for the athletes to get reps before the Big 12 tournament on May 15th.
The men's golf team placed 6th at the Big 12 Championship in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The team finished 36 strokes over par, by far the worst score of the season. The Oklahoma State Cowboys won the tournament and were the only team to score under par. The team is ranked high enough to receive a bid for the NCAA Regional Championships, starting on May 12th. The women's squad, meanwhile, finished last at the Big 12 Championship in Hockley, Texas. Senior Maria Agagan-Harroch was the highest buff on the leaderboard at 25th individually. The team will not qualify for regionals, thus ending the season. With the majority of the team being underclassmen, the Buffs will continue to grow and improve over the next few years. Read more about the team's final tournament on our website.
For the second season in a row, CU will be hosting the Women's Soccer Colorado Cup. The Buffs, UCCS, Northern Colorado, Colorado College, Air Force, and Denver will be competing throughout the day to take home the first place trophy. All games will take place tomorrow at Prince Up Field, and the action will begin at 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
Welcome to Folsom Feud. I'm your host, Colby, here with 3 contestants today, Lincoln, Balin, and Kieran. Lincoln, start us off.
I'll take game day etiquette for 200.
All right. This is the best way to show respect during the CU fight song.
What is standing, singing loud, and raising your hand in the hook 'em horn sign?
Not what we're looking for. Balin, you have an answer?
What is stand up, sing loud, and do the Ralphie horns?
Correct. Balin, the board is yours.
Give me tailgate traditions for 400.
All right, here's the answer. The must-have item to wear on game day to show your buff pride. Kieran?
What is black and gold?
That's correct. Nothing says school spirit like those 2 colors. Choose the next one.
Let's do fan etiquette for 600.
Fan etiquette. The proper response when you hear someone yell, "Go Buffs."
What is Skull Buffs?
Skull Buffs is right. Looks like we've got some true Buffs fans here. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to our contestants, and see you next time.
Last Saturday, the Colorado Buffaloes took on the Colorado State Rams in the notorious Rocky Mountain Showdown. CSU stole the Rocky Mountain Trophy after winning 8-5 against CU. Colorado's offense struggled to get goals after the first half, shooting 41 shots while Colorado State only shot 26. The Buffaloes offense met its match against the Rams goalie Charlie Bebaud, who had 24 saves and an 82.8% save rate. Earlier today, Colorado took on the BYU Cougars in the RMLC Conference Tournament, but unfortunately lost 11-10. This loss could ruin the Buffs' chances for the MCLA tournament, as they currently sit 13th out of the 16 teams in the bracketology for the tournament. Buffaloes would be playing the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in round 1 of said tourney.
Colorado Club Baseball is rounding third on their spring season, colliding with the Colorado School of Mines last night in the first game of a makeup series that was snowed out last weekend. The Buffs scored 6 runs in the first inning thanks to some Mines outfielding errors, but the Buffs never looked back, as in the fourth, first baseman Andrew Garcia blasted a Goliath home run to push their lead to 5. Will Shine sparkled on the mound, allowing 3 runs in 6 innings of work. Ultimately, CU took care of business via mercy rule, winning 15-3 in 7 innings.
Following the mercy rule, the club now prepares for a 3-game series against the Wyoming Cowboys this weekend. It is still a tight race for the Mid-American West Division, so these games will mean a lot with the playoffs rapidly approaching. First pitch is tonight at 7 p.m. with a doubleheader on Saturday beginning at 5. All 3 games will be streamed right here on the ScoBuff Sports YouTube channel.
Our very own Hannah Howell went up to Boulder Canyon this past weekend to see what one of our club teams is up to. Take it away, Hannah.
I'm Hannah Howell here with ScoBuff Sports, and I am in beautiful Boulder Canyon covering the CU Alpine Club's 24-hour climathon for charity. They have been here since 6 a.m. this morning, and they'll continue to be here until 6 a.m. tomorrow. The goal of this fundraiser is for teams to climb as many routes as possible in 24 hours. The grade, which is also known as the difficulty of the climb, relates to the points that the climbers earn. I chatted with president of the club, Kelsey, while she was cooking dinner for the climbers.
The idea is that everybody has a sponsor, and their sponsor pledges a certain amount for the number of points you have. It's really hard to get sponsors as an adult and not like a 5th grade in the fun run. All the proceeds go to Climbing for Change, which is a organization that promotes inclusivity in climbing for people who are generally underprivileged DEI groups.
The Alpine Club is CU's only outdoor climbing club and has been around since 2002. This is their 4th year doing the climathon. I got to chat with another member to see how many routes he's climbed so far this year.
Like 26, I think. It's high for me. The winners of last year got 65 or something each. So, yeah, I'm happy with what I've got, but I'm not beating them.
Reggie, you got a helmet that you're not wearing? I left it in the car.
Thank you to the CU Alpine Club for having me today. I would not want to be anywhere else. If you want to learn more about how to get involved with climbing on campus, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the CU Alpine Club. Once again, I'm Hannah Howell with ScoBuff Sports. Thanks for tuning in. Back to you at the desk.
The CU Alpine Club ended up raising over $1,600 for this year's climathon. Congrats to all the climbers who participated.
When I think of dance, I think of the varsity cheer or varsity dance team that collaborate with Chip the Buffalo. However, there is also a club dance team on campus. Brittany Garcia talked to 2 of their captains about their run in nationals and their time with the team. Take it away, Brittany.
Hey Buff fans, my name's Brittany Garcia, and I interviewed Asia and Lizzie from the CU Club Gold Dance Team, and they kind of took me in how nationals went for them and just what it means to be on the dance team and what it means to them as students on the CU Boulder campus. So let's go into it.
My name's Asia Kimsey. This is my 2nd year on Buff Gold, and I'm currently a captain.
My name is Lizzie Ahrens. I just finished my 2nd season on the team, and I'm an officer. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, so this was my 17th year of dance.
As a captain, since we're a student-led club team, I'm kind of in charge of everything, making sure that we're registered for events, making sure we have plans for practices, and just making sure that everyone's comfortable with what we're doing throughout the whole year.
For this team, we do auditions in September. It's usually a week after Rush, so it doesn't interfere with girls who want to do sorority as well. We do a week of clinics where you learn the combos, You do some technique practice, you get to know the team and the captains, and then we do auditions on the weekend. Usually it's like a full day process. There's an interview round where they kind of ask questions just to get to know you as a person, and then you go in and you do the combos you learned at clinic so they can see you as a dancer.
We had certain personal and certain team goals when going down, and we definitely like blew those away. For jazz, we got the highest placement that our team has ever gotten in like the history of our club.
I'm alone in a box of stone.
So at the beginning of the year, we have different choreographers, kind of like we look for them as like that captaining position, and we find people and bring them onto our team. So they'll come in September, October, give us all of our choreography, and then they end up leaving after that, and then we play with the choreography. Sometimes you have to change stuff to make it like a little bit harder, but mainly we stay with the same thing throughout the entire year. However, during the year, we also support other club activities. So we perform at men's and women's rugby games, as well as men's and women's hockey games. And so those are also really fun experiences for us to practice doing sidelines and also just palm routines as well.
I felt really proud of what our team put out on stage. For jazz, we ranked the highest our team ever has in our club history, which really felt great. And then for hip hop, we ended up having to change a lot of things at nationals. We had a lot of things come up while we were there.
Put my hands on your what? When I dip, you dip, you dip. Put my hands like, put my hands like, put my hands on your wait. Put my hands on your hips. Shorty love when I smack it and beat it. She know how I rock.
While we were there. So given the changes that had to be made the day before we performed, I felt like we did a really, really good job and we did our best out there, and I'm really proud of what we put on the floor. To see all these other teams and see what other schools are putting out on the floor, it's so amazing to see the new things that are coming into the dance world each year. So it's really fun. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it's really fun.
Okay, guys, we just learned what it means to be on the CU Club dance team. That's really cool. But to make it even more cool, I'm going to take you behind the scenes in one of their practices, and they kind of show me one of their combos. So let's go and see what it means to be inside the gym learning a combo. So let's go into it.
Baby, can't you see I'm calling? I got dangerous. I'm falling.
All right, guys, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'm Brittany Garcia, and you're watching Go Buff Sports.
We know you've been waiting to hear the answer to this week's trivia question, so now is the time. The question was, what former Buff has Travis Hunter tied as the highest draft pick from CU? And the answer is, drumroll please, Bo Matthews. Matthews was drafted as a running back to the San Diego Chargers in 1974. Congrats to Travis Hunter for joining Bo at that level.
Our tweet of the week takes an inside look at the moment Travis Hunter found out he was going pro. The Heisman winner lived every young football player's dream on Thursday night, getting the call from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who told him he was being selected number 2 overall. Let's check it out.
Congratulations. All right, Jacksonville. Are you guys ready? Jacksonville. Let's go! Let's go!
You know what? To celebrate this moment, let's take a look at one more tweet. Here's the moment that the Jaguars management called the former Buffalo to announce their pick. All right, square up.
Hello. Hey, Travis, this is James Gladstone with the Jacksonville Jaguars. How you doing?
How you doing, Doug?
You know what? Go ahead and take a moment to soak this one in. We're trading up in the draft. We're moving from pick 5 to pick 2, and we're doing it because you're the one we've been hunting up.
Yes, sir. That's the best decision.
I love it. Hey, bro, you've been the vision, and it's not just because of what you do on the grass, but because it's who you are, right? You elevate the space around you, and by being nothing more than yourself, you're going to elevate the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've earned the moment.
Yes, sir.
You've earned our belief.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Jacksonville,
Yes, sir.
Travis.
Thanks, Coach.
Notice the profile picture on the Jacksonville Jaguars social media pages as Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's face was on there. It was an absolutely stunning moment, and that should tell you, Xavier, that he will be one of the greats.
Yeah, such a cool moment for Travis Hunter being picked number 2 overall. But I think that's about it we got for this week's episode. I'm Xavier McNevitz with Kieran Warger. And
you heard it here first.